For a country that claims to take pride in its culture, religions, and spirituality, India has found itself in an awkward situation. While, on one hand, goddesses are worshipped, on the other, Indian women live in fear of physical and mental abuse.
We're a hypocritical country. All this nonsense about Indians worship women, it's all bullshit. It's crap. I mean, it doesn't exist. I mean, we've just built these myths in our head. I mean, we're a deeply hypocritical country which doesn't want to face up to anything.
We have given preferences to male. All spaces in India are masculine spaces.
It's the way we all grew up. India has grown up very conservatively patriarchal. To an extent, very feudal. And one of the biggest things, the maximum thing it did over the years was the control of a woman.
Violence happens as a extreme disciplining measure, if you please, or a measure to impose discipline through fear on all women. So it's a patriarchal punishment in a way for women. It's a patriarchal reminder that you are women.
It takes several different forms. It ranges from just the regular kind of leer that you face every day, just looks, to comments, to jostling, and to far more violent crimes.
I also feel that in Delhi streets, women are not safe. They're not safe.
My family is quite worried because we're two girls travelling.
We're told to dress a certain way, watch what you say, don't go out at night alone. It's very different to where we come from in Sydney, in Australia, because it's really safe for girls to be alone
At night,
late at night. Yeah. I've never felt unsafe in Sydney.
And even today, when we were walking inside, there's just big groups of men sometimes walking around and
trying to take
photos of us, trying to talk to us. We don't feel uncomfortable.
हम लोग सड़कों पे चलते हैं तो काफी लोग सीटी मारते हैं, गाड़ियों में से आवाज लगाते हैं कि आओ 2 मिनट 200 रुपए ले लो, ऐसे ऐसे करके बुलाते हैं, आवाज लगाते, गंदी तरह से बोलते हैं.
Catcalling and groping are a shameful part and parcel of life on Delhi streets. On the evening of December 16th, however, the same streets became the scene of a graver crime: the horrifying gang rape of a 23-year-old girl, sparking countrywide protests and causing a rude awakening to the conscience of a nation.
I think we need to, this is a very good opportunity for us. It's sad that I'm calling it an opportunity, but this is a very good time for us to make it an example and show to the country that you mean business.
The Delhi gang rape case is more like a catalyst, which has catapulted the collective conscience of the nation to doing some cogent, concrete action. Earlier, rape cases were happening all the time, but they never really pricked the conscience of the nation. This was one particular case that demonstrated that we had barbaric animals within our own population.
Barbaric animals who spare no one. This 6-year-old girl was at home when a man from the neighborhood kidnapped and raped her.
बच्चे को मैंने गोदी करके लेके आया, गोदी करके लेके मैं गया था हॉस्पिटल, ये वाला यहाँ पे है एक डॉक्टर खाना, वहाँ पे गया तो बोला भर्ती नहीं होगा, बोल रहा कि पुलिस वाले को फोन करो. मैंने फिर पुलिस वाले को, हमारा नंबर तो है नहीं, गली वाले ने फोन किया, पुलिस वाले आए, फिर इसको मैं ले गया बस पुलिस चौकी, वहाँ पे 1-1.5 घंटा बैठे रहे. उसके बाद जाके 6 बजे जाके 6-7 बजे जाके वहाँ कंप्लेंट लिखा. फिर उसके बाद वहाँ बैठे रहते रहते बोले कि हॉस्पिटल ले चलो, कोई नहीं सुन रहा था.
She doesn't even understand what happened. She smiles again because her physical injuries have healed. But as she grows up to the bitter realization, one wonders whether the mental trauma will ever really fade away.
A lot of times people say, oh, this is a stray incident. The point is, it's not a stray incident. It's happening every day with relentless brutality again and again and again and again in this country. It's not a stray incident.
हम ही हैं, हम बुला दें आपको, हमारे घर में और कोई नहीं है. जब हमें बुला के और आपके लिए कोई और लड़के बुला के और आपका बुरे हाल करवाएं कि जैसे इज्जत आबरी को करवाएं, खाना फिर खाना फिर जो लड़की कहती है हम अपने घर कहेंगे जाके या किसी से और से कह देंगे, उसको बिल्कुल मार डाला, मार के उसमें बोरी में बंद करके ना और वहाँ टांग दिया और आग लगा दी थी. बाद में पता चला
This mother grieves for her daughter Manisha, who was killed by her in-laws for being unable to bear a child.
अब मेरी लड़की को बच्चे नहीं हुए तो मेरी लड़की का क्या कसूर था? मेरे पास भेज देते, मारते मत, मेरे पास भेज देते, इलाज करवाते, मेरे पास खबर करते। हर एक तरह से अत्याचार भी हुआ और विश्वासघात भी किया उन्होंने हमारे साथ, लेकिन हमारी लड़की ने कभी नहीं किया। और हमारी लड़की इतनी सहनशीलता वाली लड़की के उसने ये नहीं कहा कि मम्मी पापा मैं ऐसे हूँ।
कितने साल उनके साथ रहे?
13 साल। अब 13 साल हो जाएंगे जिनका। और ये और कहते हैं कि हम तो अब भी ताने मारते हैं, हम तो जेल में बैठे हैं 3 दिन से, 50 लाख रुपए ले लो और राजीनामा कर लो। अरे तुम ले लो, हम चाहे कर्जा करके ले जाए, हम घर बेच कर दे बता दे। हमारी लड़की ने लड़की दे दो, हमारी लड़की दे दो।
क्या लड़की की कीमत पैसों से थोड़ा जोड़ी जाती है तेरी साल के लिए?
अब पूरा गांव टीकली कह रहा, हमारे सामने नहीं कह रहा, पीछे से फोन कर करके कह रहे हैं कि ये बदमाश थी, फलानी थी औरत, इसने पहले आपने क्यों नहीं सोचा आपकी लड़की इतनी सीधी है? हमारी लड़की सीधी थी, हमने हीरा दिया तो हीरे की कदर तुमने क्यों नहीं करी? हमें पढ़ी लिखी कोई हमारी लड़की में रुक्ष होता तो हमें बुलाते हैं, हमारे पास फोन करते, हम अपने को घर लेके आते हैं।
मैं तो जहाँ तक है कोशिश लड़ूंगा, माँ बाप की ये है कि लड़की नहीं तो कम से कम जिसने कांड किया है, जिसने जुल्म किया उसको सजा तो मिलनी चाहिए समाज में। कल तो वो दूसरी शादी करे, कल किसी की लड़की को और मार दे।
Padam Singh's fears aren't irrational. A family that tortured and killed their 19-year-old daughter-in-law, Jyoti, for want of dowry has gone scot-free.
ऐसे दरिंदे मिल जाते हैं, उन्होंने धन चाहिए, धन ना हो तो खत्म कर देते हैं। उनके लिए तो जरा सा खेल होता है। हमें तो खरीद कर और लिया है, मेरे पास से तो मेरी पढ़ी पढ़ाई बेटी चली गई, इसलिए बेटियां पैदा करने से डर लगता है, इसीलिए ये कारण है। अब पैसा हो तो बेटी पैदा करो, नहीं बेटी पैदा मत करो।
I have personally researched in Mumbai hospitals wherein there have been ward boys who refuse to be named but who have told me that yes, people still ask us, and how we tell them while we are handing over the USG report, we tell them laddu khila dena, which means you're having a boy, or peda khila dena, which means you're having a girl. Then go forward with it, fake an illness, get your abortion done. In Delhi, that's a step ahead. Over there, once you open the report and if you have paid money, you will find a little blue stick-on or a pink stick-on, which will actually show you what you want. So there have been differences. Earlier, I have seen victims who carried photographs of their aborted fetus because their mother-in-law wanted a proof so that they could let them inside the house.
Question the mantras which the Pandit gives you, and it says putra ho, putra ho. Hold his hand saying no, no, no. पुत्र हो या पुत्री हो, नहीं, संतान हो, संतान हो. Every prayer of ours is saying, wish you be a mother of a son, saying no, wish me to be a mother of a healthy child, girl or boy. See, you need to question the Pandit at that time. You need to question your prayers. You need to question your customs and rights.
Actually presenting a paper on my findings on marital rape and comparing it with the British and the UK system and saying why shouldn't India also have it? Yes, there are issues like the circumstantial evidence, not getting into the legality. What really shocked me was a sitting judge who was actually over there where I was presenting, heard me, smiled very sweetly, and then later after my presentation was over said, "Beta, very good research, but it's only after you get married when you realize that pati ka bhi koi hak hota hai." I was shocked that if these are the people who are sitting and on the chairs which we worship as the judiciary, as the epitome of a position that will actually deliver us justice, then what are we looking forward to? This is the primitive mindset which we are working against and looking for justice, but then this is the primitive mindset that is sitting over there and delivering justice.
Justice Lahoti was of the opinion that reducing the age of consent for marriage would decrease the occurrence of crimes against women. He expressed his view against sex education and dating before the marriageable age.
I am a firm believer of Indian culture. Indian culture and the way of life in which the Indian society had been living and is in my opinion supposed to live. Many problems and many issues of modern day would not have emerged in India if we would have stuck to our own cultural values.
मनीषा की हत्या इसलिए की गई क्योंकि उसके जो परिवार वाले थे वो उसके ससुराल वालों का जो इच्छा थी दहेज की वो पूरी नहीं कर पाई, क्योंकि एक तो उसकी कोई संतान नहीं हुई। क्योंकि हरियाणा के अंदर एक कल्चर है कि जब संतान होती है तो जो लड़की के जो पेरेंट्स हैं वो इतना टूट जाते हैं कि उनको जो लड़की के ससुराल वाले हैं उनको इतना देना पड़ता है बच्चा होने पे एक छूछा के नाम पे कि मतलब अपना कर्जा चाहे उठाना पड़े उस माँ बाप को, लड़की के पेरेंट्स को, वो उनकी इच्छा पूरी करता है। तो इसीलिए उसकी हत्या उसके ससुराल वालों ने की, क्योंकि वो बच्चा न होने से उनका जो दहेज की पूर्ति थी वो पूरी नहीं हो पाई। और दूसरा जो है, जो पुलिस का इसके अंदर जो रवैया रहा इस केस के अंदर, पुलिस ने भी जो इसके अंदर जो जिस धारा के अंतर्गत तो उनके खिलाफ मुकदमे दर्ज होने चाहिए थे वो भी नहीं किए, क्योंकि यहाँ हरियाणा के अंदर ज्यादातर ये भी देखने को मिल रहा है कि पुलिस जो है ज्यादातर लड़कियों के पक्ष में उनका नकारात्मक रूप होता है और वो ऐसे केसों में कोशिश ये करती है कि केसों को दबाया जाए।
हम जो पुलिस वालों की जहाँ तक सोच का सवाल है उसमें ये है कि वो ये सोचते हैं कि घर की जो ये मैटर है ये घर के अंदर का मैटर है, इसको सॉल्व हो जाना चाहिए। उसमें चाहे वो कहीं तक रेट वगैरह लगाते रहते हैं, लेकिन फिर बाद में उसमें जाके अचानक ही कोई रेस्पोंडेंट कुछ गलत कर देता है तो फिर उसका वो उसमें हम पुलिस को नहीं कह सकते, लेकिन वो थोड़ा सा हम उसको साइकोलॉजी को समझने वाली बात होती है। इसमें पुलिस का ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, वो तो अपने उसी हिसाब से चलते हैं जैसे पहले जमाने में चलता था कि ये तुम्हारा फैमिली का मैटर है, आप इसको सॉर्ट आउट कर लीजिएगा, उसके लिए डेट वगैरह दे देते हैं।
As far as the data regarding crimes against women is concerned, they only show either they are stable or they only show a steady increase which they have shown over the decades, over the years. But the recent hue and cry is just a making of media.
Has been an eye-opener to people. It's also been an eye-opener to the media because it has made the media realize that with the close scrutiny of these kind of issues, it can force a great deal of accountability.
As far as the overall yearly picture is concerned or monthly picture is concerned, the crime against women has not increased beyond proportions. So I would say that NCR or Gurgaon rather is as safe as any other place.
Statistics will show crimes have been going down. If we really see, we have been taking for granted certain things as not to be crime. A husband in a fit of rage actually slapping a wife is not crime. If you actually go to report that to a police station, the policeman will be like, "Gharelu jhagda hai, let it go." We've seen a Karnataka High Court judge actually putting 500 rupees to this in front of the victim and saying, "Go and have a Mysore dosa with your husband and sort things out." A husband beating a wife is perfectly normal. If we are to take these as normalcy, we can surely say that crime rates are going to go down. There's nothing wrong with that.
What happens when you gather up your courage in both hands and go to the cop station? First they'll say, "Oh, jurisdiction." Then they'll tell you, you know, इज्जत उछलेगी, कोर्ट जाना पड़ेगा, आप क्यों करना चाहते हो ये सब? रफा दफा करो. They'll slap the guy around a few times if they catch hold of him. They will not lodge an FIR. There are 2 or 3 reasons for not lodging an FIR. One is that it's work for them. 2 is that typically there are instructions from the top to keep the crime rate low. So when the top cop will turn around and say, "Oh, but we've had a 90% reduction in crimes," it's not a reduction in crime, it's a reduction in reportage. And world over research has shown that when crime reporting increases, crime actually goes down.
If the number of crimes increases, the officer in charge of the police station or that area gets a negative marking. So tries to keep the number of the crimes as low as he can.
Even if I deny and you don't agree to my denial and still presume that it is so, let me tell you, the severe most offences cannot be burked. You can burk a ETC, you can't burk a murder.
If you go to report a crime to police must register a crime. No business to say, you do it on your own and come back if you don't succeed. What nonsense. It's time you go back to the Jantar Mantars and the grounds to say, we want this police reform. If I go there, my crime must be registered. And if he doesn't register, the man must lose his job. It should be a cognizable crime. He should be getting arrested now.
In fact, the method of assessment should not be such that the competence of the person or the police officer would be assessed by the numbers of the crimes reported. It should be judged by the number of the crimes reported and solved.
You can turn around and say, we'll put more women cops in cop stations. I'm sorry, women cops are more sensitive, necessarily. Have you ever had to deal with women cops, or have any of you ever dealt with women cops earlier? It's not a given that they're gender sensitive. Sometimes they can be worse than men. So just putting women cops out there does not mean that you're being gender sensitive. Women cops can be very nasty, as I know from personal experience.
I think women felt that they had put up for it for a long time. That coupled with the sort of we give a damn attitude that initially came from the police, and very smug response from the Home Secretary and the Police Commission at their news conference. I think angered the people more.
We don't need sensitive people, we need professional people. The sensitizing, there's so much of talk going on. This is my personal take that no, we don't need sensitive police officers. He should know this is the SOP. If a person comes, you have to handle it like this, standardized. This is your professional response to a situation. Solution lies in stricter laws, stricter implementation of laws, and exemplary punishments, and education in long run.
Women and girls should also observe some code of conduct, life of self-discipline for themselves. And they should also take some precautions. These are explained. Very recently, the Commissioner of Police issued guidelines. They are only advisory, not mandatory. They are not law. The Police Commissioner said that when the girls go to schools or colleges from their homes, they should first return to their home and then go anywhere else. One. Second, they should always keep their parents informed where they are. Now, some of the women organizations have opposed it. And I have put a question to myself and to those honorable ladies. What is wrong in it, the police advising the girls? They tell their parents at home that we are going to school or college. And when something happens, it is found that they were 20 kilometers away from their school or college. Who's to blame?
No, I think that these are all done and they're dressed up as a security measure. Whereas they are not. They're all part of that same Lakshman Rekha agenda. And somewhere you have to recognize that the agenda of restricting women's freedom and the agenda of the rapist are actually the same. They are both trying to put fear into you and trying to tell you that you have to act according to that fear. If you don't, then you deserved it. You asked for it.
All that the Indian woman is asking for is to be free of the fear of being hurt because she's a woman. She won't share the blame anymore. She will fight. Fight against subjugation. Fight for justice.
The legislative mechanisms have to work in. The political leadership has to be made alive to the fact that rather than closing into their doors and rather than bamboozling popular protests, it's time for them to be part of the protest and time for them to amend the laws so as to give proper, effective remedy and justice to the affected persons.
We need to collectively do this together, right? And break the conspiracy of silence, I keep saying. That ye to ho gaya, let's move on. We shouldn't move on. There is no question of us moving on.
All I can say is do not give up now. It's now or never. Now or never.